Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Welcome to the omb.frequency. Thanks for being here. Thanks for liking, subscribing, and commenting. This is a conversation that I've wanted to have and sort of an experiment I'm doing with myself and my own energy for this moon cycle of April 2022. The last video that I did was on the new moon to waxing crescent moon cycle. And the sort of energy around that was it was deep yin energy. And so it was, the message was to take time to heal, take time to do deep listening. And that's where you will find sort of like solutions to healing, or healing being this ongoing path of deep listening for solutions, and not necessarily, it's all about yin energy, so not necessarily having to work for solutions or search for solutions, but knowing the solutions are centered in self and connection with the body, spirit, and the ancestors. This week, continuing with the moon cycle, we're doing the first quarter moon and the waxing gibbous moon, which is way more, the past moon cycle was big yin energy, feminine energy. And then this moon cycle is more of a balance of yin and yang energy. The first quarter moon is a split balance moon. And then the waxing gibbous puts more of the yang energy into it. And so there's a lot more emphasis on action. Please check out my poetry series videos, where I share some of my poetry and do readings on them. And hit me up, DM me. The information is in the description box. You can DM me or email me about doing personal readings. And so yeah, thanks for being here, and let's get started on this next moon cycle. So the next part of the moon cycle after the new moon and the waxing crescent moon is, we're getting where that's like a deep dark moon. It's a lot of yin energy moon, a lot of receptive energy. And then we get into the waxing crescent, and it's more, like a little crescent slither of some light, some yang energy. So it's about like kind of putting more emphasis and actions into the intentions and plans. And now we hit the first quarter moon, which is a half and half, light to dark or dark to light moon. And then we get into the waxing gibbous moon, which is a little crescent of yin energy and way more yang energy. And so the message that, the overall message that I got from this, I'll go, one by one with the cards, but from just looking at the cards, it's definitely an energy of, so you're holding the power and the value of all this yin energy, of all these intentions, of all this information you've received, of all this, all the work that you like put in, or all the reception that you put in for the new moon and the waxing crescent. And you're holding all this value. It's very valuable stuff, and you're storing it, and it's being stored. It's stored inside of you. It's stored in your body. This power is stored in you. And I guess in this first quarter waxing gibbous moon, because it is more of a more yang energy is in it, and it's more of action energy, the question becomes, how are you devoting time and energy? How are you nurturing and cultivating all this power and all this knowledge and all this potential? How are you molding all these intentions and all of this information that you've received? How are you nurturing that towards a sort of space of liberation? Like, are you like keeping it attached to trauma, or are you like using it to move towards more of a liberation? And so the moon catches more of the sun, the light and courage is action, overcoming obstacles. And then the waxing gibbous is when we start editing and refining our actions and plans. And this is also a message that has just come for me personally. And that's why I love doing this, because I'm personally like moving through this experiment as well. And so, you know, I got into some yin energy for the new moon and the waxing crescent, and then right towards the end, like right as I got closer to this fourth quarter moon, which is happening this weekend, the weekend of was it April 7th. As I got closer to this time, I start noticing that, like, you know, I have to, like, in some ways create this sort of safety in myself, so that I guess the yang energy is creating a safety, a container for the yin energy to flow free. Because I can get into hyper yang energy, or like some yang energy that's focused on control and, you know, boxing myself up into rigid spaces and focusing on, you know, the sort of like not so gentle side of discipline and an action. The point of this balance working together, the point of this like first quarter moon of this balance, is that the yang energy has to create a sort of structure and space for this yin energy to feel safe to be expressed as creative energy, and not using your yang energy to like stifle your creativity, or creating a space where it's like void of the freedom to explore and be curious and create. And so this is definitely a time of action towards freedom, a balanced, you know, action towards freedom. It's a time to be present with where you are in the stage of the cycle, to be like, you know, take all that you know and all that you remembered from the past moon cycle, and take those messages and take those intentions and start to like act on them. Because for me, I can get all up in my head thinking about how it needs to be like this, it needs to be like that, and I should do this and do that. And it's like the more that I trust my yang energy, the more that I trust that my yang energy is creating this space and container of safety, the more I feel safe to like rest and then wake up and do. It's like the idea of like how, you know, cats are some of the greatest predators in the world, but they sleep all day because they know that when they wake up, they're still the greatest predator in the world. And so this like balance of energy is still resting, is still like respecting the receptive energy of this phase, but then you know, allowing that safety to be there, so that when it's time to act, you act, and you know you're acting from a place of power, because that yin energy is the power that you are holding. And so the new moon cycle was about noticing and being aware and receiving information about the power that you're holding, remembering the power that you're holding. And so this next cycle is sort of creating a safe container for the expression of that power. And so the first card that we have is that power, the Queen Mother, the Empress energy. which is all about that yin energy. It's the you know, the ultimate yin energy. Our children, it's about playing, love and growth, cultivating the best, holding your value, being fertile with creativity. It's a very like sexual liberating energy. And some of the actions that I wrote down to think about, like in this next phase, what actions can help kind of move this energy outward is, you know, of course, whatever creative activity you're doing, whether you are any type of creative, of course, but then there's dancing, there's singing, there's exercising, being around animals, caring for children, sitting with elders and trees, getting sun, receiving more yang energy from the sun, taking a walk, yoga, daydreaming, masturbating, and just like enjoying the senses, aromatherapy, music, taking walks, like, but of course, because this is sort of like a creative cycle. The more that I'm doing these videos, the more I'm realizing this is not so much centered on like the day-to-day working part of ourselves. I'm really talking about our creative selves. And so whatever creative endeavors, whether they're creative is your grind, whether the creative energy is your work, then I'm talking about that. But this is very much tied to like how to like move this creative energy. And so the Queen Mother is just this space of like whatever activities bring you joy, and something you can do immediately for joy, or something that you do unapologetically for joy. Just whatever you can do, making space for the safety to explore and to relax and to play with your creative energy without judgment. And this safe container goes into the Four of Coins, which is reminds me of the past card from the new moon cycle, the Fox card, which was talking about how compared to a lot of our ancestors, we are in a space of way more a higher level of like safety, and with this higher level of safety comes a higher level of healing, a higher level of space to heal. And the Four of Coins is like speaking to that safety. You know, the ancestors said you're safe. And so when you are holding all that value, this is a card of like storehouses where it's actually interesting. This is a card of storehouses where they store food and water, and there's like places where the feminine stores their food and water and places where the men store theirs. And so it's like storing the essentials, storing the nutrients, storing the value, storing what's valuable. And so this is that kind of like, this is giving me more like the yang energy of like protecting, like being a protector to what is of value to you. Having sound judgment, management of resources, and being aware of power, and knowing you store great wealth and knowledge and power and insight and generational gifts. And it's also kind of like dealing with the safety of like when you know that you are holding this value, it does create a container to feel safe expressing it and sharing it. And knowing it, protecting your knowledge. And the last card is a card about liberation, the Eight of Blades. This reminded me of a dream that I had, actually. I had this dream. There's this little boy. I was sort of like separate from the little boy, but I could like hear what was happening in his world. He was in some type of like captivity, kidnapped or something. And he was given 5 pieces of paper or 4 pieces of paper to make wishes. And so he, you know, he had a dog. And so he would take the piece of paper and he would wish for food for himself, food for his dog, water for himself, and water for his dog. And as he would make these wishes, the person who was like kidnapped him would like give him these things. And he was just so happy. This little kid that was just so happy to get the bare necessities that he needed for him and his dog. And as I like was in the dream, like listening to this, at some point I like took over these kids' wishes, and I was like, I wish for freedom, liberation, to get out of captivity. And as I'm saying this little boy is just like freaking out, like, no, we're not gonna, you know, he's like freaking out because like, we're not gonna get food and water for the dog and the, you know, and it was like I said, yin energy is like that. The ultimate yin energy is children. And so it kind of made me think that like maybe this like yin energy is being like stifled and kept in survival mode and not free to like express. But the message I got from this reading was just like, you know, don't sit in captivity and wish for survival. Don't sit in captivity and wish for the bare necessities. As the ancestors said, like, we're safe. We hold a lot of power. We hold a lot of what we need. And so this is a card about, you know, it's about post-traumatic slave syndrome. And so like these subconscious, deep limiting beliefs. It's like wishing, you know, in any creative endeavor, it's wishing for like 300 followers rather than wishing for your art or your creations to impact people or have some larger goal for, even if it's just yourself. But ultimately, the yang energy is it's interesting because it's like it's supposed to create a structure for the yin energy to feel safe to explore and be liberated. This moon cycle is about action, and it's about actions based in an empowered space, actions based in a space of like liberation and freedom of expressive creative action. And I've found like as I'm moving through this time, one thing that I have encountered how, you know, it can be difficult to trust that that space. Even, you know, it's one thing to talk about like yin and yang people and how that impacts relationships, but in your own self, using your own yin and yang energy, I actually had to go back to this card, notes I wrote for this card. I actually had to think back in my life, like, okay, when is the last time that I had to do something and stepped up to the plate and got it done, and just reminding myself that my yang energy can work. My yang energy is capable. My yang, I am, you know, like the cat, the greatest predator. When you wake up, you get it done. And when you're safe and secure in that aspect of yourself, when you're safe and secure in that discipline that you have and the consistency that you have to take action, then it's no problem if your yin energy wants, you know, it's no problem for that expression to happen and to be free to kind of flow in these kind of like discipline constraints. But it's ultimately for for a sort of liberation. Because yin energy, when it is just like, you know, the new moon energy, when it is just like out, when you're in complete yin energy, the new moon is a time of like reception, but it is a place of like destruction. It's very destructive energy. So you're deconstructing, you know, beliefs and deconstructing. And so now that we're in this period where the energy is balanced with yin and yang energy, it has to be like this destructive creative energy. And so this is still a time where it's sort of like simultaneously destroying beliefs. It's like destroying beliefs of unworthiness or inability to act or inability to express through the action. Just doing it because it needs to get done. And as you do it, this is what I've encountered. As I do it, as I do more videos, as I just do the next thing, then I do start to feel more secure in the fact, you know, I tried to like over control the process and end up procrastinating. Or I can just like do it, realize it's much easier than I even thought it was. And that in some ways strengthens my ability to know that I can get it done, strengthens my ability to know what the, you know, the predator I am, you know, to go back to the metaphor. But yeah, so as you move into the action, as you do the action, you're simultaneously, this is why it's like half dark, half light moon. As you're moving into the action, as you're taking the action, you are simultaneously finding the value in, you're simultaneously like putting in the action, providing the structure, providing safety, and knowing that you can do it, and also realizing like you can do it, which gives more space for, you know, open creative space. At least that's been my experience with my own like dealings with procrastination energy. Most of the time I'm worried I'm not going to do it right or exactly how I want it, so I just don't do it. But then once I do it, I realize, oh, it's really not that bad, and it's really not that hard, and it's really, you know, all of these other things. And so then the next time I'm like, okay, remember that time that I did it before and it wasn't that bad? Let's just go back to that and just get it done. And we create action and creative action, and this creative action that's based in this like balance of yin and yang energy. And that's where the kind of like waxing gibbous, where the waxing gibbous moon energy is. It's the through the action, as we do more action, the bunnies in the background, we're laughing at them. But as we do more action, then through that action is when the refinement comes, and we can refine and pick and refine the process and work through the process. And so, yeah, the more that I do these videos, I'm realizing this is more so, I'm just like exploring myself through this process and learning that a lot of this is just like, the creative process and alchemizing the creative process with the moon. And so the next video, these cards are the DustIIOnyx tarot deck. One of my favorites. So join me in the next video where I go into the full moon and the waning gibbous moon. Please like and share and subscribe, and also please comment if you are following, you know, this cycle. Hey, if you are following this cycle and discovering how it, like, experimenting with reality with me, please comment below. In the description box is how you can book me for a personal reading. Doing a lot of like creative energy alchemy and creative process alchemy, as we are all creators in many ways. There's many ways to be a creator. So yeah, thank you.